You probably turn on the kitchen sink several times a day, fill up a glass, and take a drink without a second thought. We put an immense amount of trust in the fact that whatever comes out of that faucet is perfectly safe to consume. For most of human history, trusting our senses to judge drinking water was a lethal gamble. Up until the mid-1800s, before scientists linked severe cholera outbreaks to sewage-contaminated wells, people assumed water was safe as long as it looked clear. But the truth is, a pristine-looking river or lake is naturally teeming with invisible pathogens, microscopic dirt, and decaying organic matter. Occasionally, that reality leaks into our homes. You might turn on the tap, find water that looks cloudy, water that runs brown, or smells heavily of chlorine. These strange anomalies happen when the delicate balance of a massive engineering system is disturbed. To prevent that from happening, local utilities don't rely on a single giant strainer. They use a multiple barrier system, the sequential, highly controlled obstacle course of physical traps and chemical reactions. The process begins right at the source, where raw water is pulled in from a lake or river. The first obstacle is a simple set of macro screens designed to catch large debris like sticks, leaves, and trash, which protects the plant's downstream machinery. Once inside, the water hits the rapid mix basin, and the plant introduces its first major chemical intervention, coagulation. Operators inject specific metallic salts, like alum or ferric chloride, churning them quickly into the water. At a microscopic level, suspended dirt and clay particles naturally carry a negative electrical charge, which makes them repel each other and stay suspended indefinitely. The coagulant molecules carry a positive charge. When they mix, they neutralize the dirt, shutting off that repulsive force. The water then flows into a flocculation basin, where massive paddles gently stir the water. Without their negative charges keeping them apart, the tiny particles collide and stick together, growing into larger, heavier clumps called flocks. From there, gravity takes over. In a deep sedimentation basin, the water slows down, allowing all those heavy flocks to settle to the bottom as a thick layer of sludge, while the clearer water stays on top. This physical barrier removes the vast majority of suspended particles, which engineers call turbidity. If you ever notice cloudy tap water in your home, it usually means heavy storms or sudden algae blooms temporarily overwhelmed this specific coagulation step. While that top layer of water in the sedimentation basin looks clean, it still has to run the gauntlet of the filtration stage. Gravity forces the water down through filters made of tightly packed layers of sand, gravel, and crushed anthracite coal. These dense media beds act as a fine-toothed comb, capturing microscopic particles and a substance called dissolved organic carbon, or DOC, basically the remnants of decayed plant matter that were too light to sink during sedimentation. High concentrations of dissolved organic carbon give water a distinct brownish tint. By trapping these organics here, the filters eliminate one of the primary causes of brown water at the household sink. The water is now physically clear, but it still requires a chemical barrier against invisible threats. The disinfection stage inactivates the disease-causing bacteria, viruses, and parasites that slipped through the physical filters. Treatment plants usually apply a precise dose of a chlorine-based chemical. Operators carefully balance the exact concentration of the chemical with the specific amount of contact time the water needs before it leaves the facility. Sometimes, a sudden spike in organic matter in the source water requires operators to increase that chlorine dose. When excess chlorine reacts with those organics, it creates disinfection byproducts. These byproducts are usually what's responsible when your tap water smells a bit like a swimming pool. To mitigate those odors, utilities will fine-tune the chemical dosing or route the water through activated carbon filters specifically designed to absorb those exact smells. Before the water is finally pumped out of the plant, it undergoes one last chemical adjustment for pH and corrosion control. This step is critical because if the finished water is too acidic, it will slowly eat away at the miles of aging pipes in the city's distribution network. Leaching metals from corroded plumbing is the other major culprit behind brown tap water. The fully treated water pools into a large storage basin called a clear well before heavy-duty pumps push it out into the vast pressurized network of water towers and city mains. To keep that network stable, plant operators monitor flow rates, turbidity, and chlorine residual levels 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When an anomaly does happen, When the water is cloudy, brown, or smells funny, it means a specific barrier needs an adjustment. It is a temporary hiccup in the chemistry, not a breakdown of the entire system. So the next time you fill a glass at the sink and find it perfectly clear and completely tasteless, you can appreciate exactly what it took to get there. It takes an intense, continuous orchestration of physics and chemistry to safely deliver that water right to your hands.